Oh my God, we're live. Look,
Hello, darlings. How is
that's
everyone?
that's pretty fucking great. Like that's a good costume. You really look like the Rubber Man. I'm very impressed.
Thank you, Acadia. I know it takes a lot for you to give out compliments.
That's
So
right. That's right. They're few and far between. And guess what? There's not going to be any for the show that we're doing the instant reaction to. None.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna have to talk about it because um I was not feeling it, honestly. So did I lose you?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I do. I was listening to the murder.
Listening to that vampire child I had to turn because I can't have my own children.
That's right. Straight up murder. All right. So, I mean, honestly, the best thing about the whole episode is your current costume. So I don't even know what to say about the whole thing.
Well, how do I put this? Because I don't like to use the word filler, even though I kind of used it for last week's episode. But I felt like last week's episode, we got a lot of character development. This episode, I feel like it was, I mean, we finally figured out how robot meat was made, which was cool and in its own right. But I don't think we needed a whole episode dedicated to Mutt and Jeff or Michael and the satanic cult and then the days in the woods. Like, I understand that this is obviously the path to which he becomes what he becomes, but it was just, I felt like that could have been half the episode, and the other half of the episode could have continued on with the actual story. Uh, and I mean, I guess I set my expectations a little high because I was expecting a little more for a Halloween episode. But, because in the past, their Halloween episodes have been really, really good. Um, so it was for me. And I'm disappointed to say that because we only have 2 episodes left after this.
I mean, the the fact that I don't even know how to explain it. They Again, they told us stuff that we didn't know. Like we needed to know, but I don't know if we needed to know in that much detail, like kind of thing. Like I had bitched that, how are they going to fit in the whole how they make the robot part, and that actually ended up being what the entire goddamn episode was about. So I guess be careful what you wish for.
Well, I mean, and I know we talked about that last week. Like, how did Miriam become robot Mead and everything? But it didn't need an entire episode. And I mean, I obviously know what they're doing and what they're setting it up for because we see Billy Eichner again, and then we see Evan Peters. I really believe that if they're not under some type of enchantment from Michael or whatever, that they are uh, Coco's, boyfriend, and then Gallant. Those are my thoughts. Like, I don't think that they're making new characters. I think they're setting these characters up to show us who's in Outpost 3. I mean, Venable was still Venable, and he met all of these people. So, but I could have done without Mutt and Jeff's backstory, to be honest. And one thing I have to say is the reason I don't know if they're under an enchantment or not is because Billy Eichner, he comes in, I think his name is Bo, right? Because I haven't seen him in so long that I totally forgot his name. But, you know, he came in and killed Coco when we were still in the present.
Yeah, that ain't the same guy.
Yeah, it is.
It's the same actor, but it's not the same guy.
I don't know. I think what other reason would he have to come in and stab her in the head?
Because he was her ex and she left him to die in the apocalypse.
Okay. For some reason, I'm just thinking in my head that he was there to take care of, you know, whatever Michael needed him to do. I don't know. I could be way off base, and I probably am, but if they're brand new characters, I don't prefer them to continue getting into the weeds of characters. I kind of want them to go back to the ones that we know from the Outpost and, you know, like Bubbles last week. I mean, it's coincidental to me, I guess I should say, that in the first episodes, we see Dinah come back and Coco and Mallory, and we learned that they had an alternate identity, that they were under an enchantment. So that's why my thought process is going towards these other characters. Are they in the same boat? Because they're all in Outpost 3 at the same time. And they're all, you know, well, the ones we saw this episode are all connected to Michael.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that's what you get when you just keep using the same actors for the whole goddamn thing. You know what I mean? Like it's oh, they must be the same person, except they're not. And Venable's dead, and her back's not fucking crickety in this part. She's got the cane, but she doesn't look all twisted up and whatever. So I don't know. It feels like they just went, oh, we have Sarah Bernhardt, and she's going to be like a Satan televangelist. So let's play that part up. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I love Sandra Bernhard, but I just felt like all of that could have not existed, in my opinion. And it upsets me that it was a filler episode and that it was so late in the season. To me, it was like a wasted episode before we only have 2 left. So,
well, my issue with the whole thing is they're not giving themselves any room to do something, I mean, dare I say, super interesting and compelling.
Well, I mean,
they kind of don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm agreeing with you 100%. Like, at this point, what's left? Are we going to just, and again, I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is going to be a 2-part season, or 2-part story, let me say.
I'm just really terrified for you thinking that, because you're going to get so disappointed and be so mad when it doesn't happen.
Well, I just cannot imagine how they would wrap this up.
Well, I mean, they're going to wrap it up. There's not going to be any more build. We already know that there's going to be a showdown. We already know that apparently what's her face, and I mean, I guess we're just doing the Friday show tonight. So there's not going to be a Friday show, everybody, because there's not enough in the whole episode, and Mel's can't get dressed up this fancy again.
I just want to show my Countess outfit for everyone. So that's why I wanted to do a Halloween show.
Yep, because it's great. But there's not enough anything in any way to make me think that this is anything except that they're going to say, all right, well, number one, we know that Michael can get beaten because what's her name says that there's good in him, and she also hid what's her face's soul in a place where Michael couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Which, if you could do that, then that seems like it would have been handy prior to that. Like, I don't fucking know. So what do we don't know yet? We don't know when or why she puts the other witches undercover, and we don't know who wins at the end. So basically, is next week going to be, oh, this is the plot we hatched to combat Michael, because now we know it, because he's got a robot. Venable didn't know she was a robot, but Venable worked at the robot place.
Okay, exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, is there, and I don't know. I want to say this. We know that Venable has has no morals, or she's, has no scruples or whatever. So she perhaps could have known this whole time and been trying to be shocked by Robot Miriam. But the fact that their relationship seemed a bit more than just friends, or, oh, I knew you were a robot in before times. That's why I have to wonder if that's going to be the big thing, is it's going to turn around and be all these people have enchantments on them, and, now they're going to come out as who they really are. Although, as I talk about it, I don't really know what Mutt and Jeff in their enchantment, lives could possibly add to the story.
Yeah.
But also we don't know yet, because, we only saw them tonight. I'm thinking, did they help maybe think up superhumans, like the canker pest monsters that we never saw again? I mean, like, I've got a lot of unanswered questions that I'm really not happy about, but I would think their involvement has to be a little bit more than, oh, you bought back me, thank you so much.
To me, all the only two things that it can be now are, A, let's find out why she hid the other witches, and then the finale is the fight. There's nothing else to it.
No, yeah.
And if you look at it that way, then there's no way that it's going to be two pieces to, like, go into a second season, because if you're gonna take something minor, like, how did you build the robot, and it's kind of obvious now that the Satan network, where she said, oh, we're all over the place, that must be the cooperative. Because they were the ones that are invested in, there even being an apocalypse and managing the apocalypse and all that kind of shit.
That is true.
So that actually makes sense to me. So then if you go, now that we know that, I don't even know what the hell else there is to know. Like, I don't know what I don't know now, other than why the witches got hidden, and who's going to be the Supreme that beats Michael, or are they going to fucking lame it up and make him turn good at the end, which will piss me off.
I really hope they don't do that.
Because he didn't mind killing the what's her face there.
I know, burned her up to ashes.
Well, yeah, no, we burned. No, that's my hot brunette girl.
I see. Fine, I like
girl. She's my new favorite. Her name is Megan Davis. That's my research for the show. Okay. So then, oh wait, someone, Damiel said in the chat, she read an interesting fan theory that Cordelia set the outpost up as a trap for Michael, and that's the reason that outpost didn't fall when all the others did.
I like that a lot. because it is true. I mean, it's again. I'm now at the point where I'm wondering what's real and what's not. Like, were there other outposts? I don't know, but she did know exactly where to go. Which of course she had been there. It was Hawthorne's, but like she knew that Outpost 3 was going to be Hawthorne's. You know, she knew who was going to be in there, and yeah, she very well could have set that up as.
Yeah, but I mean, it really, now there's so little time left. I don't give a shit what, like, next week is going to be her. It's going to be the good guys version of I'm revealing my whole plan, because they have to say, okay, what was the bad guys' plan? Because remember, what's his face? Michael keeps going, I don't know what to do. I need my robot. So he didn't have any plan on, you know, launching nukes or any shit like that. So they have to tell us why that happened.
Yeah.
Then we have to figure out why the witches did what they did with their hiding this and that. But we've been in flashbacks since the end of episode 3. Like, we've been not in the present at all.
Right.
Since episode 3. And so the final episode just has to pick back up where they bring the fucking witches back to life. And the voodoo one says, no, I'm not on your side, blah, blah, blah. And then they have the fight, and that's it.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's not a 2-parter, it's going to be super disappointing to me, because I feel like they've invested more time in telling the backstory and how they got here, which is fine. I've enjoyed it. I don't have an issue with it, other than there are just some backstories that I could have done without, unless we find out that they really mean more than they do. Like, these are other identity characters. I see you giving me the eye.
But what difference does it make at this point? That's what I'm saying. Like, you're not wrong.
No, but what I'm saying is, you're right. Like, if it goes in the next 2 episodes where here's how everything happened with the witches, and then here's a huge fight between, you know, Michael and Mallory, perhaps, or whoever, that's going to be disappointing to me, because I feel like there would be more leading up to the fight. I mean, especially since the last episode we saw was Michael at the top of the stairs in the outpost, you know, saying, I've already defeated you once. So we don't know anything past Cordelia bringing them back, and then Michael saying, I've already defeated you once. And we haven't seen him defeat them.
Right. So that has to happen in the next 2 episodes too.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, so I don't know how they're going to cram all of that into 2 episodes. And I really just hope it's not going to be super lame, because I've loved this season so far. It's been like up in my top favorites, but I'm getting worried and I'm getting antsy, and I'm just not feeling after this episode, you know, where we're going from here.
Oh yeah, the hot teenagers too. Remember them?
Yeah, the Doctors Without Borders, and then the social worker.
Yep.
Yeah. We had to have that because, you know, well, we had to have
No, not in this episode. I mean, the ones that they picked to go to the outpost.
Oh, you're talking about Emily and Timothy. That's another thing. Like, I call them M-Tim. So M-Tim, they are supposed to be genetically something or another, and they were picked for the outpost. Like, they can't just leave that not, you know, explained. And it's just weird, you know, they were fine with killing everybody in the outpost and then being done with it. I don't know. It's just, I feel like they vested so much into telling this Outpost 3 story. Then it kind of fell to the wayside. We went through all the flashback and the leading up to it. And in the last 2 episodes, I mean, how are they even going to tie up all the loose ends that are out there?
I mean, they're either going to do it really fast or they're not going to do it at all, and there's nothing we can do about it. Because you would think that if they have the luxury to fucking take an entire episode to introduce Sarah Bernhardt, who at the most could now be in 3 episodes.
Right.
You know, and introduce the fact that there's a Satanist network, which will make sense if it becomes the cooperative.
Right.
But again, even past that, I don't even, I don't know, man. It's getting on my nerves. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally get it. And like I said, I had a lot of high hopes for this episode. I didn't mind last week. I liked the content of it. I don't think it really moved the story further very much. We just found out, you know, obviously how Myrtle was brought back, and she's great at, you know, some things thanks to Bubbles, and, you know, all this and that. But then another episode of just useless information. I don't know. I mean, I hate to say useless because I have hope that it meant something. I mean, like you said, that satanic network could very well be the cooperative. But
yeah, but who cares now?
Well, exactly. I mean, I'm not the whole apocalypse thing has really left me now, if that makes sense. Like in the beginning with the apocalypse and living life in this bunker and this and that, like that had me really intrigued. But, and then I got really wrapped up in a lot of, and some people don't like to call it this, but somewhat of a fan service, because we got our Coven stuff, we got our Murder House stuff, etc. And when to wrap up back into, you know, the original story in 2 episodes, I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. Plus, I read, and I think I shared that last week, is I read that some of the Murder House people will be back for the final episode.
Yeah, because they're going to have to. Next week, we have to find out what the hell the dumbass's big plan was to create the apocalypse and why. Then the next piece is going to be why she hid the witches, because she has a plan to fight them, because it's got to come about after losing the first time, because he said, as you pointed out, you know, I already beat you once. So round 1 was before the apocalypse.
Right.
So round 2 has to be afterwards. So we've got 1 episode to do all the setup as to why that existed, which means they're going to explain the cooperative. They're going to explain what the hell the teens had to do with it, if anything. And they're going to explain how Cordelia set the pieces in motion so that they could win afterwards, because that would also presume that Cordelia knew the fucking apocalypse plan, because she knew enough to get her witches picked to go into Michael Landon's thing, even though he didn't. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I mean, I don't know. Michael may have never met. Well, he knew Dinah, and that's another thing. Dinah, I don't think she was under an enchantment.
I don't know.
Well, I don't.
She didn't remember she was a witch.
But she talked to him because she already knew him. Remember when they did their interview, and she was like, and he said, "I'm surprised to see you here." And she said, "Yeah, I'm just trying to get to that sanctuary. You know, I'm not powerful enough to get in your way of anything." So,
I didn't take it that way. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I didn't take it that way. But yeah. I just thought she was talking about the fact that like she was just kissing his ass.
But he knew what she was, though.
I thought he knew she was rich. I didn't think he knew she was a witch.
See, my whole thought process was he knew she was not a witch per se, but a voodoo queen. So their paths could have crossed at some time, but
Well, you know what? Now I'm even more pissed than I was. What the fuck? So if she was Oprah and she's worth billions of dollars and that's why she was in the thing, why was she conjuring up fucking Papa Legba for $100,000 if she was already a goddamn TV billionaire?
See, and that's I don't believe that. I don't believe the Dinah Stevens story, Oprah. I don't know. I mean, honestly,
I'll tell you what it is. I know what it is now. They're gonna Cordelia's big plan to hide the witches. She's gonna find out what fuckhead's plan is, right?
Okay.
His apocalypse plan. Then the turn back time stuff is gonna happen twice. She's gonna send those witches back so that they don't know they're witches, but they become Oprah and like because both Coco and Dinah were rich.
Well, that's true. And Coco, she was still with her same family because that's her dad that dropped her off at the academy. And Mallory becomes her assistant. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's not by coincidence. So I guess if there was an enchantment on Dinah, I don't know. Just the whole I got the vibe from that episode that Michael and Dinah knew each other somehow.
All I know is now that all they've done is give me fucking agita that I've got to worry about how they're going to wrap it up and worry that it's going to be dissatisfying. And I'm mad that they did that to me because whatever. And then the fact that this was a wasted Halloween episode is specifically because I think they knew that there was no way they were going to be able to time it to put some kind of good episode in this place because at the time, basically the way I understand it, when Venable said it was almost Halloween in like episode 2,
right?
They hadn't even finished writing the episode that we just watched.
Exactly. Oh yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
So they don't fucking know what they're doing. So whatever. The best part about it is your costume. So I'll give you a big round of applause for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what matters.
Yeah. I mean,
and then at by the way, the last episode has to be them. It has to be them going back to Murder House to again fuck with time to blow shit up so that he never becomes a thing.
Yeah, and I mean that's obviously going to happen because we know about the Billy Dean Lana Winters, right? Lana Winters. No, yep. Or was it Dean? I'm sorry, excuse me. One of them, I think Billy Dean, that did the 2020. So I mean, we know that the world's not going to end per se because we were in the future unless she did that interview because now I'm thinking those emails that were from the cooperative were for the year 2020. So now I'm wondering if she did that episode, if that was supposed to be before all this happened with Michael. I'm getting too in the weeds here because now I'm thinking about way too many other things.
Yeah, and you're giving them way too much fucking credit that they don't deserve.
Well, I mean...
Don't write the show better than they can write it.
Well, I'm a huge fan, and I don't like being disappointed. And I also want to say that I moved to the Pacific time. And so for some reason, Pacific time follows East Coast time, which is fine. But I would not have. No, it doesn't follow. Anyway, it comes on at 10 o'clock p.m. here, which never mind, doesn't follow East Coast time. So anyways, I wouldn't have been prepared to do this live stream. And so I had to pay $5.99 for FX Plus to get that sneak, preview and to get the early release of the episode. And it was a shitty episode. I want my $5.99 back, Ryan Murphy, if you are watching. Because I would have paid $5.99 or last week's episode before I would have paid $5.99 for this. I'm super disappointed, and I don't like feeling that way because this obviously I'm dressed as an American Horror Story character. Like, I love American Horror Story, and so when I start to feel disappointed, it just really gets me down because I like to put high hopes into it and I like to believe that they've got a good plan going ahead. But, I think we've spent way too much time telling the backstory and not enough time getting to the future date and what's going to happen.
Yep.
I mean, and like I mentioned earlier, it's nice to have gone to the murder house and tied up some loose ends, find out what happened to Constance, everything like that. It's very nice to see the Coven again, and I'm loving their character development in this season and the roles that they're playing. But
but no, I actually, out of all those things, I think that's the only one that matters because I think that's going to be the key to get them.
Well, no, you're right. Yeah. And just I've already beat you once phrase, it just makes me wonder because when in that episode where they returned to Outpost 3 and revived the three ladies.
Yep.
So Queenie and there's no Zoe. So I'm wondering, Madison survived and Myrtle. I'm just wondering if they're casualties of this quote unquote defeat that they had or what.
I don't know. Guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
But it's all, because of the way they arrange the whole device, we know what things are supposed to be figured out by the time the show is over, which only gives us and I guess that's the thing that's most annoying. Most of the plot points that we have left to resolve are things that we already know happened. We just don't know how or why. Exactly. And the only actual mystery left is the fight, which they're not going to have enough time to do in any decent way.
Well, I'm going to tell you one. I'm a huge fan of another show, and The Walking Dead. Okay, let me tell you where The Walking Dead lost me, and I think a lot of people felt the same way. Is the All Out War? Okay, the All Out War was supposed to be something major. It was huge, and it was totally, life-changing. They literally did such a disservice to All Out War on the show that I kind of lost it for them then.
You mean the fact that there was no fucking war and there wasn't anything all out?
There was nothing to it. There was we got a whole episode of Rick chasing Negan around with Lucille, and then we got a whole episode of everybody shooting at everybody, but nobody getting shot. And then the next episode was Carl dying and they capture Negan and then that's it. There was no war, and so my big build up for this season is I want to see a kick-ass good versus evil war And that's not going to happen in 2 episodes. I can go ahead and tell you. Like, unless they're scheduled to be 90-minute episodes or something like that. But even at that, that's just, you can't do something that epic in that short of a time period.
Nope.
But one thing about tonight, we now know why all the elites wear purple.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because
Venable likes purple
color. So I don't know. I hate being disappointed, and I am, and I don't like being disappointed.
No one likes being disappointed.
No, and I really don't like being disappointed on Halloween.
Oh yeah,
but I do have one interesting thing I want to point out that I think I mentioned it in one of our, first episodes, is the fallen angel. Yeah. He was in this episode.
You mean Diaper Boy?
Right.
He wasn't fallen. He was just regular angel.
Well, okay. The angel I'm talking about was an angel that, and his name was Michael, that came down, but he was still heavenly, or whatever you want to.
Yeah.
I believe that was him. And so I think from the beginning, I was trying to fish this story of, wait a minute, maybe he's actually not the Antichrist. And
here we go. No, I'm not doing
this. Just listen. Just listen. I don't believe that, obviously, anymore. But what I'm saying is, and then we randomly get that scene where it's this angel that is trying to get him to come with him.
Yeah, also, but that doesn't even make any sense if you're going to use any type of Catholic mythology. That doesn't make any sense either, because the Antichrist is not Satan. Satan was a fallen angel. Michael is not a fallen angel. Michael is the boss of the angels that fights all the bad guys.
Right.
So there's no, I don't know. They're not going to bring in like any actual Judeo-Christian good guys in this. There's no way.
I don't know. I think that, okay.
I just don't believe they would, because it doesn't make any sense in the context of the show.
I know, but I just am still holding on to Mallory being something more than a supreme. But
well, I mean, if she is, she could be a demigod like Lady Gaga was, not like, because if you're in a situation where you're saying that there's, basically evil gods, because that's what the Antichrist is, forget about how this all got framed because some super genius 2,000 years ago wrote it on a fucking scroll. Like, that's dumb. Like, you could just say, okay, well, no, we have a mythology where instead of like Gandalf and Sauron, it's the Antichrist who's going to destroy everything, and then we need a super good guy to fight him. That can be Mallory. It's fine. And that makes sense to me. The thing that's bothering me about the whole episode is, not the episode, about the whole series, is not the ideas that they're putting forth. It's always their fucking execution. They just can't get their fucking shit in a sock to create a cohesive, I want to watch this, and it has, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if you want to see how this is super possible, everybody watching, either watching now or going to be watching later, watch The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. And don't tell me that they're not comparable because it was just a mini blah, blah, blah. This guy's been making TV for 8 seasons. You're still making 10 one-hour episodes of television. You can fucking write it so that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you don't have to be fucking running up with script pages 2 seconds before you're supposed to shoot it because nobody knows what the fuck is going on. Just get it together, Murphy, because just,
Acadia is on a rant.
Well,
I
it's
agree with you
fucking
that
bothersome. It's bothersome because they try to make themselves into this like we're this big pop culture touchstone. None of our shit makes any sense whatsoever. But oh my god, look, this creepy looking thing is fucking a ham. So look how edgy we are. Like it's bothering me.
oh my god. No, I know I know exactly what you mean, because if you really look back on the prior seasons, what endings did they really have? I mean, we got kind of the ending to Murder House this season, which was
Well, I
okay.
mean, that ended and you didn't need, I mean, the end for as far as that was concerned was, oh shit, they're stuck being ghosts. And they all were kind of shitty people anyway, except for maybe the mom. So they all deserved it. And that's why people think that that season was the good season
Well,
because it
no,
had a beginning, middle, and end.
yeah, you're right. But and so that's what I was going to say. I mean, but when you kind of compare it that to Asylum, I mean, that had a weird ass ending that didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Although I like all the seasons, but they're notorious for not having endings that maybe in certain senses make sense, if that
Right.
makes sense.
And that's the reason that I'm so mad. And we're coming right up on midnight, so it's not going to be Halloween anymore. At least for me on the East Coast. You still have 3 hours to run around in your dope ass costume. But the way I want to wrap this up, and everybody in the chat, hey, thank you for coming out on Halloween to watch this. And sorry to just bitch the entire time, but what can we do? The reason that I had hopes for this season was because they were going to deal with a bunch of characters that were already established so that we didn't have to waste a bunch of fucking episodes learning who these characters are because we already knew. The point of using people in past things is that you already know their motivations. You already know all of the shit that made them what they are. And you already are familiar with them, so you want them to do what it is they do.
Right.
Except that they fucked off 8 episodes and we're still really no further ahead than we were after the first 3.
I know. No, I agree. I know. Yeah. That's why I said the original story to this season has not gone anywhere since episode 3 or 4 or whatever. I mean, it hasn't at all. So
I mean, now I'm looking at it as more of like a science experiment because I want to see if they can pull it off.
you're right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm definitely interested in what the next 2 episodes are going to bring. Since we'll be back to our regular streaming, I won't be paying $5.99 anymore. Because I'm not running the risk of another disappointing episode for $5.99. I mean, that was the cost of these gloves. Okay. So I'm just right now. But yes, thank you all for coming out, hanging out with us on Halloween. You know, it was a disappointing episode for the both of us. So it's hard to just kind of find a lot of things to talk about in an episode that drug on longer than it should have when it only had one ending to it, which was we found out how mead was made. I mean, you know.
Yeah. And you know what? In the vein of not doing what American Horror Story did, we're not going to drag this episode out longer just saying that episode sucked. So so why don't you take a bunch of pictures of your cool costume and then you can enter into our costume contest so that we have a contestant in the costume contest, because it doesn't make any sense for you to not take a bunch of pictures because you work so hard on it and it's awesome.
Well, thank you so much. And I will be entering the contest. And I hope that all of you that are watching or will watch this later, the contest is going to go through Sunday, right?
Coming Sunday. Yep. Employees and their family are not eligible.
What?
So go ahead and enter. You can't win, but enter.
Right. No, I know I wasn't gonna be expecting to win. But put your entries out there, email them to superficialgallery at gmail.com, and we will be getting the votes, voting on it. So even if you're a late partier, meaning you got something going on past tonight, send it in anyways. We're gonna have the contest open till Sunday, and may the best ghoul win.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everybody. And you really do. That looks awesome, Mel's. Good job.
Thank you. Happy Halloween. Mel's is out.